we have a lot happening in the news right now, but we have a lot happening in classrooms. We're going through a moment of massive change in our classrooms. Artificial intelligence, it's everywhere, right? It's on our phones. We talk about it all the time. Well, from the latest learning apps to Chat GPT, it's transforming how students study, write, and also problem solve. So the question is, are kids still learning to think for themselves? Well, Dr. Vasant Dhar is a professor of NYU's Stern School of Business. He's also at the Center for Data Science. He's also the host of the Brave New World podcast, where he explores how technology and ethics intersect. And he's got a new book coming out this year, or next year rather. It's called Thinking with Machines, The Brave New World of AI. And we welcome Dr. Dhar. Good morning. Good to have you on, sir.
Great to be here, Ken, on this wet morning. And my book comes out in a few weeks, not next year,
A few
thankfully.
weeks. Sorry, we
Indeed,
had here on the
indeed.
bio next year. So it's
No,
this year. It's this a couple of
that's
weeks. So
right.
we'll
Yep.
look for it.
In fact, I'm having a book launch in the next couple of weeks at NYU. Um,
Nice.
and by
It's
the
my
way,
alma mater.
oh, really? Wow, small world.
Yes, Tisch
But,
School.
but by the way, I really, I think I'm going to tune into WLNG. It's, sounds right up my alley.
Yes.
The period they're talking about includes a lot of genres that I sort of grew up with. So
It's a
I'm
great
going to check
station.
it
It
out.
sounds like if you could recall WABC radio back in the day, 60s, 70s, and whatnot, that's what WLNG sounds like. It's a great station. Yeah, definitely check it out. So,
Yeah.
just getting to this is fascinating, and I'm so glad you're tackling this. So, AI is changing things in the classroom in a big way. Talk about how it's impacting the classroom.
We are in uncharted waters at the moment. This is like a new being, that's inserted itself on the planet, like AI.
Mhm.
And the future teacher is AI, right? That is the teacher of the future, is AI. The reason is that it is now at a point where, I talk about this in my book, where it's gone from being sort of an application, a niche area, to this very general purpose technology where it knows something about everything. And that's been sort of the fundamental breakthrough in AI over the last few years is, we've gone from this era of trying to extract knowledge and use it in systems to now where the machine knows something about everything, and that everything is getting deeper and deeper. So we're going through sort of this classroom disruption, and we're all you know dealing with it as it comes. There are no right answers at the moment. This is a completely new beast, and we're moving towards this era of continuous learning. It's not just
Mhm.
stuff that we learn in the classroom and that applies for the rest of our life. No, wait, that's the learning of the future is going to be completely different. We're going to have this oracle at our fingertips. It's going to know a lot more about everything than it does now, and it'll know a lot more about everything than most humans do.
You know
So
what concerns me,
that is,
doctor? Doctor, if I could just jump in, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt. What scares me though is because humans who program it tell it what sources to go to, and it provides all sources as co-equal, and that worries me. Now, here's why. We just the other day here at the station, we put in like the secretary of whatever, give me the name, and it said that person from 2 years ago, and that's what popped up. We just
yeah,
asked it, and
yeah,
that's what. So if we're relying on that, it's not always up to date. It also, when I asked a question, we put this on the air a few months ago. I said, will President Trump be looking at prosecuting former Secretary Mayorkas for lying to Congress on this date? And I gave the date. The response was, that's impossible because Donald Trump has never been elected president. That's what came back.
yeah,
And
yeah.
maybe that's what somebody wants, but that's not a fact. So this is what concerns me. How many young kids will rely on that AI as gospel and it's not going to be?
Yeah, you're hitting on something, I mean, you're hitting on something critical, which is that at the moment and also in the future, machines will always make mistakes, right? They hallucinate, but so do humans, right?
Yeah.
That's just, part of, creating this machine in our own image is that it's inherited some of our tendencies as well. Computers in the 70s and 80s, weren't capable of lying or making things up. Now they are. In fact, computers are also now capable of deception and manipulation. So they've learned our dark side, right? So we've created this machine without any purpose. The first machine, by the way, created by mankind without a purpose is artificial intelligence. So you just think about that.
Mm,
But you're absolutely right. There is no substitute for critical thinking, right? When I say the teacher of the future will be AI, what I'm talking about is that more generally, that's what we'll turn to for answers because it will know a lot more. What we're going through at the moment is a transitional period, right? I mean, if you think about it, the machine, as most people know it, the modern AI machines, it's been around for like more than 2 years, right? That's
mhm,
just like the tiniest blip, in our history, right? 2 years. Like imagine like 20 years or 50 years. You're going to be looking at a completely different AI than you're looking at now, right? But we're going to be looking at the AI today and saying, wow, that was laughable, right? Even though we thought it was amazing, right? It was nothing. So,
yeah.
we've got to take the long view. And in the long view, AI will play an increasing role. And we're all struggling to understand how that's going to happen, right? No one has the answers. When you're in uncharted waters, that's what you do, right? You're sort of doing the
Mhm,
best you can. And, I'm dealing with it in my classroom. I don't discourage people from using ChatGPT. I actually encourage them to use it, but I tell them to be really discriminating in how and when to use it, you know, and that's the critical question, I think, also for kids, but also parents now, um, because parents need to be more plugged in to what's going on. I remember when I went to school, my parents had no idea what happened in school, right? They sent us to school and our education was someone else's problem, right? With my kids, I went to all of their parent teacher conferences, and now it's going to
mhm.
be even more critical for parents to get involved and engaged in in the education of their kids. And the number one question is AI making my kids smarter or dumber, right? I mean, that's the number
Yep.
one question for parents.
And
And,
that's
that's
exactly
the,
what I'm thinking. If I may, doctor, that's exact because so many kids say, "Give me the write a 4-page term paper on such and such." Well, and how many kids are even checking it? I know that as a doctor or as a professor, you know what was AI. You could read it. I see when we have an AI generated story, it's horribly written, but that's going to change.
it's going to change. And by the way, it's getting better and better, right? I mean, most of my
Hmm.
students, by the way, are foreign students, right? So they use the AI to write stuff for them because it can write so much better than they can, right? And it's getting really good. It's getting better and better. And so, the question is, are kids going to say, well, if this is going to take me 2 hours to write, maybe I'll just get the AI to write it in 2 minutes and I'll spend the next 10 minutes, revising it, right?
Right.
And that seems to be the a primary mode of use of the technology at the moment is, oh, it'll enhance my productivity, right? That's how people are using, creatives are using it at work. Students are using it to, get more efficient. But the danger is exactly as you point out, is it dampening their critical thinking skills or is it enhancing them? And my sort of position is that we are at the beginning of what I see as a bifurcation of humanity. That we're going to get human beings that are like super
Yeah.
intelligent because they have access to this amazing resource that we never had. I mean, I used
Doctor,
to have,
doctor, I have to pause you only because we're out at the block. We're at the top of the hour, so I need your website. What's a website and where they could find your book that's coming out in a few weeks? Thinking with Machines. What's the
yeah.
website?
So it's thinkingwithmachinesbook.com. Simple as that.
Thinkingwithmachinesbook.com. And we appreciate you coming on. We could do a whole show on this. It's amazing. Dr. Vasant Dhar, professor at NYU Stern School of Business and the Center for Data Science, host of the Brave New World podcast. Get his book coming out in a few weeks. I appreciate you very much, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Ken. Great to be on the show.